How about some no-hit games this year, Johnny?
Well, I don't say I'm going to throw any, but I sure would like to.
Like any young pitcher, Johnny Vandermeer would never be foolish enough to promise a no-hitter. It is, after all, one of the most difficult feats in all of sports.
I think it's impossible to go through 9 innings, 27 outs, with 9 minimum major league hitters, and not one of them get a hit.
It's something that you dream about, and at this level, you realize how difficult it is.
A no-hitter! It's really almost impossible when you think about what could happen.
You're facing major league hitters, and when you don't give up a hit against a major league team in 9 innings, that's quite a feat.
Bang! It's over! He's done it! Some of the greatest pitchers in baseball have not pitched no-hitters. Lefty Grove, Robin Roberts, Early Wynn, Steve Carlton, Whitey Ford, Dizzy Dean, all members of the Hall of Fame, did not pitch no-hitters.
The Hall of Fame was far from Johnny's mind in the late 1930s. He was content to practice his control in the off-season, throwing snowballs through tires.
John was, at that time, he was at his peak. And he had it all. He had a good curveball, good fastball, good change, and good competitor.
I knew Johnny Vandermeer. I saw him pitch several times, and he worked so hard at pitching. And Johnny didn't have the greatest control.
He was quite often wild, and that made him tough to hit. On June 11th, 1938, the Boston Braves, known at the time as the Bees, found out just how tough he could be.
Well, that game was played on a Saturday afternoon. It was hot, and it was one of the few days that I was throwing the ball exactly where I wanted to throw it all day.
So precise was his control, Johnny simply focused on the game, until, that is, he reached the final frame.
I didn't go for a no-hitter till the last inning. Then I went for it.
And I said, I've got 30 good pumps in me, boy, and they're going to get my 30 best shots. And that's the way I wanted to go out. And I was fortunate enough I got by.
In just his second major league season, Johnny Vandermeer threw 9 innings of no-hit baseball, and in the process, achieved pitching immortality.
What we see is that at any given time, lightning can strike and a guy can live forever.
But how often does someone catch lightning in a bottle twice? Just 4 days apart?
1938 and 35,000 fans crowd Ebbets Field for the first night game in metropolitan New York's history. And what a historic game it turns out to be.
An amazing bit of history witnessed by more Brooklyn fans than expected, thanks to GM Larry McPhail's overzealous promotion.
McPhail kept selling tickets, and he didn't stop. And the fire department came in because he had them sitting in the aisles and you name it. I got up to warm up 3 times, and I had to sit down 3 times before the fire department cleaned out the aisles and so forth.
No pitcher likes to warm up more than once before the start of the game. Vandermeer just kind of hung in there, and turned out that he had a lot left in that arm.
I was busting the ball real good. I'd probably thrown the ball 95, 96, 97 miles an hour. Something happened in that ballpark in Brooklyn that night probably never happened before. From the 7th inning on, the Brooklyn fans were pulling for me. Now, in Brooklyn, they don't do that. And when I started the 9th inning, they were really pulling for me.
Going into the 9th inning, the Dodgers were hitless. Never before had a major league pitcher tossed 2 consecutive no-hitters.
I got the first hitter out.
And then I started to overthrow. I was trying to throw harder than I could throw, and that's when I walked the bases full.
The tension was electrifying.
Then, of course, on the last hitter was Leo DeRocher. He popped out for the last out.
The planets came into alignment, in that 1 week, and he did it, and nobody else has done it since.
If I knew the fact that it had never been done before, that might have threw some more heat on me. But I wasn't aware of that.
So was Johnny up for 3 in a row? Not quite. But it wasn't until the 4th inning of his next game that he finally allowed a hit.
I went to Boston and shut out the Braves on 4 hits. At that time, there was some pressure then. There was more pressure on me in the 3rd game than there was in the 2nd game by far.
It was just part of a 9-game winning streak for Johnny, And of course, it was the highlight of an up and down career.
The following year, I came up with a sore arm, and I was out a year and a half. And then I only came back for a year, and then I put 3 in the Navy.
Johnny Vandermeer never did make the Hall of Fame, but the Dutch master will always stand alone.
You know the record will never be broken? Johnny Vandermeer's 2 no-hitters in a row, because you got to pitch 3. No one's going to pitch 3 no-hitters in a row. I don't care who he is.